Right, we have the South Brighton Residents Association, page 1077. Oh, good. Welcome.
Hi, you must all be falling asleep by the stage.
Not falling asleep, but some
coffee. Anyway, kia ora, I'm Kirsten Carey, and I'm speaking as a representative of the South Brighton Residents Association. I'll be referring to the Burwood Coastal Ward, specifically New Brighton and South New Brighton. I have lived and worked in this area for 23 years, and I believe I understand the needs of the community, particularly health and all that supports health, having worked at New Brighton Healthcare with John Cook, who spoke this morning, and for 13 years as a public health nurse across many of the schools in this ward. I have 3 points I wish to cover this afternoon. The people of New Brighton and South Brighton need faith and hope in their future. Areas of South Brighton, and in particular those along Kibblewhite Street and the streets that border the estuary, require well-engineered protection against tidal flooding. Damaged infrastructure in the eastern suburbs due to significant lateral movement caused by the many earthquakes we have had and will continue to have needs to be replaced with more than just temporary stop banks. Now, I appreciate you've been hearing this all day, but I'm just going to say it all over again. I'm aware of the stop bank extension that is planned south of Bridge Street. This construction is to take place later in the year and is expected to take 1 month. A month. It seems a short amount of time to create a stop bank that will offer any true protection. If one refers to the long-term plan 2015 to 2015, it states, the Avon River stop banks are temporary measures to protect the area, which depending on the development plan for the area could be abandoned, raised or rebuilt elsewhere. Doesn't leave much hope for us, does it? The disparity of protection, this has also been alluded to today, from the tidal influence of the estuary post the earthquakes are obvious between us and our eastern neighbours. One only has to drive along the Ferrymead Causeway and visit Beachville Road to see well-engineered estuary protection. I am sure this took longer than a month to construct. We too ask for that same protection. If this is not feasible and the temporary stop banks are all that we can expect, please inform us and assist us to prepare for the possibility of managed retreat in some of these high-risk areas so that we are not left to see our land and our house values drop even more than they have over the last 6 years. People have and will lose the equity that they had for future plans. Number 2, the South Brighton Residents Association fully supports the Council's proposal to provide $11.2 million for the wider development of the hot saltwater pools project. We will take anything. We do appreciate this is only part of a series of projects aiming to revitalise the area that are promised. A firm budget and a timeline for this project and all such projects would give residents more confidence that something will actually happen. Number 3, we are pleased the whale pool in New Brighton is due to be upgraded, ready for the summer. We hope this area will be separate from the hot saltwater pools, in as much as that it will be free.
yes, I can just say yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So that's all I need to say. Thanks for your time, but I don't think it hurts to reiterate what has been said many times today. We love our area and we wish to stay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Glenn, did you have a...
Okay, yes. Okay.
I thought you did.
Oh, no, okay, I'm just sort of, body languaging out loud, but it was more, have I got this? I mean, there are many complex issues here,
We appreciate
Kirsten
that.
and Hugo, but would it be fair to say that what residents are looking for is certainty
Yes,
in a difficult, complex, uncertain environment?
absolutely. We just want to know the reality. I've been on many different things. One of them was the review of the Tonkin and Taylor report. That was suggested that there would be an update around April, and I know it's only a month later, but again, it's another month that we wait to hear about what is planned. I listened to your reply to Seamus this morning, Leanne, and I understand the complexity of all this, but it's just, there are people that are in a holding pattern, thinking, do we stay, do we go? Do we leave before our properties are worth nothing? And then I think you spoke to John Cook about, do we invest in this area and build more houses? Well, if you want to retain people, or you want people to buy the houses that are even for sale, people have to know that it's a safe place that is going to be protected.
So heretical as it may sound to some ears, in some ways, if some areas had gone red several years ago, that would have been better, because it would have provided the certainty.
Way better. And I think, I think that was also said that some other areas should have gone red. Absolutely. And at the time it was a very difficult decision, and no one knew the true damage that had been done to the land. But I mean, there are certain areas, particularly near the estuary, down Kibblewhite Street, Falcon Street, where Hugo and Emma live, that they're in a sticking position. They don't know what to do.
You're green now, but it actually feels like orange, as if you were, that
it feels like
no man's land time.
It's no man's land, and no life you just can't see a future for yourself.
Okay.
I'm in a great position. I'm closer to the sea, but I would not want to be in a position that some of these people are in.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that, the reassurance that I was trying to give this morning was that we have to work collaboratively with Regenerate Christchurch, because they are responsible for the residential red zone regeneration planning process, and so, but they're all connected, and they're connected through the estuary and the river, stop banks, decisions that we make at the mouth of the estuary, not the mouth of the estuary, but where the river enters the estuary, where the coastal environment ends and the river begins, which is further up than I thought it was, because it's changed, partly because of the earthquakes. We've got to make sure that we take all of those elements into account. But we've said that we as a city will not abandon the people of South Brighton in terms of that particular area that you've identified, and we will take responsibility for the outline regeneration planning process, and we will engage with the communities, and we will find solutions. So, and I understand the lack of certainty, and in some ways I was lucky to be red zoned, and I've spoken to people who were red zoned, and they say that it was like lucky, but for a lot of them they lost a lot of money.
I know.
The winners and the losers, and there is a period of limbo, and we relate to it, absolutely. So we're determined to get to some solutions, but they're not going to be instant, but they will be very open and engaged with all of the communities that are affected. I can promise you that. So Phil and then Sarah.
Look, thank you for your submission, Kirsten, because I think having clarity around all these things clearly is essential. And I'm like, clearly you were part of the earlier Tonkin and Taylor discussions, and so my understanding is that in fact that report, the review, should be available by the end of this month. That's my understanding. But when we have perhaps the other information too, like the multi-hazard report that our staff are doing, that clearly that information should be part of the conversations that we have with the residents of the different coastal areas.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's,
Someone
I'm assuming that...
Janet a glass of water. Sorry, I'm a little bit worried about her.
And that multi-hazard report will be due to working with our LTP at the end of this year?
It certainly should be. Yeah. So, Kirsten, it sounds like that's what you would like to, that information being clear to residents. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sarah?
Thank you. And I'm just going to switch topics because the estuary stuff has just been quite well covered, and the erosion and those kind of issues. I'm going to switch back to the wave pool and surrounding areas, which will be free. And just wondering, something that we talked about much earlier in the day was the communications around this because there's $8 million.
Yeah.
And if you look at, millions going towards the surf club, and then there's the redevelopment of the playground, warm water in the whale pool and splash pad, all of those things that are going to be happening, and engagement starting really soon on the design of those. Do you think that's been well communicated? I mean, I look at the benefits that Margaret Mahi, and it's such a destination playground, and the potential for that in that space, and the benefits that will bring to sort of mental health, well-being,
Yeah.
those kind of
I think
things.
there's been many opportunities where people have been able to put their voice forward.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any final plans yet. I don't know if there are final plans for the whale pool.
It's coming up.
That is coming up. But I think that I think the communication with the community has been relatively good. People have been able to make submissions and influence the plan. Yeah.
Actually, we've heard from a few people that they feel like nothing has happened, which is why they want the hot salt water pools, whereas this first stage of the hot salt water pools with the hot water and the whale pool and those kind of things is on its way this year.
Right.
And I just wonder if people realised that when they were asking for what they thought was the first thing.
Well, it's definitely been in the press.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think it's been well communicated. I don't think that's been poorly communicated.
Yeah, I think we would welcome some information to share with the community in local newsletters, etc. Because
maybe through residents' associations as well, which we are more than happy to do. But I have seen it even with the New Brighton project, and I've also seen it through. So no, I
just heard through the submission process that actually people think that the hot salt water pools is the first project, when actually it's like stage 2, stage 3 kind of thing.
You've also got very good signage up at the in front of the whale pool, so no, I don't think that one could have done much better. So thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. It's much appreciated.